This episode of the Sloopcast is brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company is an Ohio-based company located in Cary, Ohio, where they say our seasoning will take your barbecue from good to great. Mad Canadian will be at the OLC Shrine Cafeteria this Thursday from 4 to 7 in Cary, Ohio, for some more barbecue and bingo. Come hungry, bring your bingo stamps, get ready for some barbecue bingo this Thursday, 4 to 7. Be sure to follow the Mad Canadian's social media pages, Twitter and Facebook. Find more information about him and his food truck and where he'll be heading to next. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, who are the official barbecue of the Cary High School Blue Devils.
This episode of the Sloopcast is also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is an Ohio-based, Marine-owned, veteran-owned coffee company. They are a micro roaster. They are, Stuart, you're killing me right now. Micro roaster based out of Perrysburg, Ohio, which is just outside of Toledo. Integrity is the core value of what they do. Integrity is the core value of what they do, all the way from the farmers they buy from, because all of their beans are fair trade certified and USDA organic, all the way to you, the consumer, where all of your beans are fresh roasted, fresh ground if you want them ground. And they're taking care of everyone from beginning to end throughout the entire supply line. They import their high quality coffee beans from places like Colombia, Brazil, Uganda, Honduras, Peru, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and more. The holiday season's coming up. You can do $50. You have free shipping over $50, and gift cards are also available. There's also a subscribe and save service. Lots of amazing options available to you over at ironbeancoffee.com. That is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
How's it going, YouTube land? How's it going, everyone in the Sloop Cats here?
Hey, you know what's great? When you
making
choke on your own spit within the first minute of the show.
Stuart making us laugh early.
That is one of my favorite gifts of all time, Stuart. It honestly is.
It's good. It's good. All right, it is our
Collegiate Chaos.
Our Collegiate Chaos episode here. Chaos took a name here. Could have been more.
Took two.
Took a couple of names here. So I was hoping a few more here, but let's get into it and talk about them, Jared.
Yep. We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing right here, Jared. How are you doing today?
Wow, okay, I don't know why I expected you to say something else there. Kyle, I am not on top of my stuff today, but you know what? We push forward. I'm doing fine. Maybe I'm a little tired. I've been up for a while. But we're all good over here. We have a Collegiate Chaos episode to get to here. Right off the bat, Stuart down in our chat asked the questions, are there really 4 S-tier teams? Well, yes, because there have to be. Because there have to be, yes. Are there 4 truly deserving of playoff spots at this point? Man, this feels like a season where the BCS would have worked out just fine. Just let Ohio State play Georgia and let's get this over with, right? That's sort of what it's feeling like right now.
Yep.
But that's not. But I don't want the BCS back. So let's not even joke about that. Kyle, let's get into it. Let's review some of the top games from this weekend. Let's take a look at some top 25 action. Who won, who lost, whose souls did chaos claim. Can't talk today, Kyle.
You want me to take over, Jared?
Yes, for God's sakes.
All right. Typically, we usually start with the Big Ten here, so I'll go ahead and pull up the Big Ten games here. Anything in particular here you're wanting to really review? Let's see. Penn State took care of Rutgers. Michigan took care of Maryland easily. They won 59-18. In Minnesota beat Indiana. So the other 2 games here, Iowa in Illinois.
Yeah. Illinois may be starting to look somewhat respectable. I think Bert's doing a good job there. Iowa, of course, was never like the number 2 team that they peaked at one point. That they just weren't. We and I think we all knew it at the time, even. But it was a fun ride for them. So it's somewhere in between those two things, right? Like Iowa is a somewhat respectable team right now, Illinois is a somewhat respectable team right now, and Iowa is where they should be, which is like just inside the top 20.
Mm-hmm. And then in Nebraska fashion here, Jared.
Yeah,
losing by 1 score to Wisconsin, 35-28.
It even benefits Ohio State that Wisconsin. Not that I think it matters. I think in the grand scheme of things, but it benefits Ohio State for Wisconsin to win this game and to be as highly ranked as possible heading into the Big Ten and all that crap, right? But man, I felt so bad. I was cheering for Nebraska. I felt bad for Nebraska. Man, no team as good as Nebraska deserves to be as bad as they are, as bad as their record indicates. They have Kyle. They have a plus in the score differential. Think about that. They've scored more points than they've given up.
And they're 5 games under 500.
Yeah. They're 2-7. They're 2-7 and have a plus in the point differential. How is that possible? Well, it's possible because they've not lost only one game. Kyle, only one game have they lost. They just blew that one plus 70 point differential plus 70.
That is just.
I feel terrible. I feel terrible for Nebraska. They're actually a very good team. They just can't finish games. It's actually like tragic at this point. 3-8 with a plus 70 point differential. Gangland has for supplying stats for us down in the chat there. It's tragic really at this point. And like you look at all the advanced statistics, and they score really well in all the advanced statistics. And Kyle, just to throw some positivity your way, this was like one of the first times in the history of the podcast you've gone outside of the sloop picks to like point out a game that you thought had a bad line that people could take advantage of. You're like, they have Wisconsin losing by more, or excuse me, they have Nebraska losing by more than a score. Nebraska never loses by more than a score. Give me that game. Stuart, no, some guy named Jimmy did that. Sorry. Someone else, Stuart, not named Stuart, went 7-0 in the sloop picks this week. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. I feel bad, just like what Jared said. Nebraska better than what their score is. They're better than what their record is here. All right. Moving on to the national games here. We'll start off with chaos here. Clemson finally finding their offensive groove here. 48-27 over Wake Forest.
Yeah, that's
they're starting to look better, and they are now in the driver's seat.
No.
To win their division.
No, they are not. Wake Forest still is. Remember at home, everybody, Wake Forest's one loss outside of the Clemson game was against a conference opponent, but was not a conference game.
Yes, you're right.
Therefore, this is Wake Forest's first conference loss of the season. Clemson has 2 conference losses on the season. Therefore, Wake Forest would have to lose and Clemson would have to win next week in order for Clemson to win the division.
I keep forgetting that. Yeah.
Everyone keeps forgetting that. It's confusing.
Yeah. So this is a big game for Wake Forest. They play Boston College, which that's that's not going to be an easy game. I think Boston College is a decent team. Another team that I think they're better what their record says, but uh, I think early here as we're recording here, Jared, Wake Forest is only a 5-point favorite to Boston College. So they Clemson may backdoor to get into this.
It's possible. It's possible. Pitt, on the other hand, has sealed up the other side of the ACC, so Pitt will be playing in Charlotte. That's where they play that, Kyle. They play the ACC game in Charlotte.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So yeah, Pitt's going to Charlotte, and we'll see between Wake and Clemson who gets to represent the other side of the ACC.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, it's between those two right now. Well, no, so it's interesting. I don't know how this is going to work. So it looks like NC State's played one less conference game, but um, they only have 2 losses. So you have Wake Forest 6-1 in conference. That is Clemson 6-2, NC State 5-2. So doesn't that technically give like Clemson that advantage because they have one more victory, or how's that work? Because NC State has the tiebreaker over Clemson.
Well, it's because Clemson doesn't. Clemson plays South Carolina this week, so Clemson's done with their conference schedule.
That's right. Yes.
So they do the in-state rival thing. So Clemson's done with their conference schedule.
So crazy chaos if Wake Forest loses.
Yeah.
I don't know how the tiebreaker is going to work because they each lost to each other.
Oh, as far as NC State getting back in?
Yeah. So NC State lost to Wake Forest. Wake Forest.
I forgot about NC State.
Lost to Clemson. Clemson lost to NC State.
Yeah. You know what? I don't care. Moving forward.
All right.
All right. Wait. Now, before we get any further, you brought up Wake Forest, which means, Kyle, it is time. Yes. It is time to bring out the tiers.
I gotta pull you up here, Jared.
All right, here we go.
Where's Wake Forest? There they are. They're in the B tier. All right, fellas. Wake Forest out.
I mean, this is their second loss. I'm okay moving them to C.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
I'm good with that then. All right, since we have this open here, Jared, Michigan State, move them down to C as well.
Oh yeah, we talked about Michigan State during the Monday episode. So yeah, Michigan State gets their second loss. They go down to C.
Yeah. All right. We're going to be moving some others here. All right. Next game here, Jared. Oklahoma beating Iowa State 28-21 after stopping Iowa State inside the 5 to seal the win there. Could have gone to overtime here, but here's another close victory for Oklahoma, winning games, but just not convincingly though.
Yeah, which is going to hurt them. Which I think is why Kyle and I will continue. I believe. I don't know. Maybe we have to drop Oregon still. We haven't got to that game.
I guess it's a 1-loss Oklahoma team. I guess you keep them at A for now. I don't think they're an A team, but based on how we have our ratings, I can't drop them to a B.
Well, I was talking about like we have to replace. I think we have to replace. In my opinion, we have to replace Oregon.
Okay.
And you're you took that the opposite way. So I'm going to go ahead and assume you don't want to replace them with Oklahoma. We have to replace Oregon.
Let's talk
move
about
forward.
The Oregon game here. So Oregon just lays
Shellacked.
lays an egg there, 38-7 over the Utes. Over the Utes. The original U.
Yes, the original U.
38-7. So now, Jared, Oregon, 2 losses now.
2 losses and a shellacking. Like,
do we drop them all the way to B tier then?
I think so, because as Ohio State learned in back-to-back years after getting shellacked by Purdue, getting shellacked by Iowa, the committee takes that seriously. Like, losing big is something the committee, I believe. So now you're 2 losses and you got shellacked. Quite frankly, they should actually probably move all the way down to C.
Let's keep them at B right now.
Okay.
We can re-review this, but let's keep them at B right now.
That's fair.
So let's talk about the rest of the S tiers here. Georgia played nobody. They stay where they're at.
And their game paralleled Ohio State's game against Michigan State. Everyone was keeping score between Ohio State and Georgia.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ohio State was playing a top 10 team and Georgia was playing an FCS team. For the record.
Cincinnati took care of business over SMU. And Alabama beats Arkansas 42-35.
Not a great showing against a team that is generously ranked in the top 25. They're, what are they, 21st or 22nd? 21st.
Well, won't be anymore.
Right. But coming into the week, 21st. Not a great Alabama showing. Their defensive backs, their corners are vulnerable. Their passing defense is incredibly vulnerable. Their offense is obviously filled with a bunch of talented guys. That goes without saying, but I don't think that they're as polished as Ohio State on offense. I think that's a given. And defensively, like I said, just vulnerable. Ohio State, guys, I'm just going to say it. I'm dancing around saying it. I'm going to say it. Everyone look at me. Ohio State would destroy, absolutely humiliate Alabama right now. Ohio State, I'm going to break my microphone. This is how passionate I am about it. Ohio State would demolish Alabama right now.
All right, as Jared's fixing this here. So I'm just going to say Georgia 1, Ohio State 2. And you know what? I'm going to put Cincinnati at 3. Put Cincinnati at 3 and then Alabama at 4 right now.
You know what? Let's just hold off. Let's talk about the rest of our games. Okay. And we'll come back around to that. But before we do that, Kyle, let's take an ad break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Michigan, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, and a few other big games from this weekend.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, as I mentioned at the start of the show, OLC Shrine Cafeteria this Thursday, 4 to 7. Be there. Good barbecue. Good time for some bingo. Let me read some more reviews left by actual customers who's had some of that delicious barbecue from the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Here's one that said, heard about this company from a friend's post. You could be the next one hearing it from this podcast. This is some of the best pulled pork sandwich I've ever had. Will definitely come again, and such friendly people. And here's another saying that they picked up some brisket and pulled pork meals. All of them enjoyed it, truly enjoyed it both. Ordered both kinds of sauce on the side, and we could try their homemade Kerry Floodwater sauce. And after one taste, we didn't even open the Sweet Baby Ray's container. Their sauce is fantastic. Great reviews. Check them out on Facebook, Twitter. Great guy, great food. Again, this Thursday in Cary, OLC Shrine Cafeteria, 4 to 7 for some barbecue and bingo. Be sure to hit up his social media for more information about him and his food truck and where he'll be heading to next. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, who are the official barbecue of the Cary High School Blue Devils.
This episode of the Sloopcast is also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. I told you who they were in the first ad read. Let's take a look at a coffee or two. Let's talk about the Rocco. The Rocco is an Ethiopian natural process medium roast. However, It is also available in a dark roast. This is a unique coffee in the Iron Bean brand, as it is available in your choice of roast and also your choice of bean, either whole or ground, whole bean or ground. Um, they call this the mother of all coffee. It's an Ethiopian single origin coffee. It is the birthplace of coffee as we know it. He says there's something pretty special and unique about an Ethiopian natural when it's at its best. They are excited to supply such a coffee. Who should drink this? Those who enjoy coffees that insist on being noticed. Um, Notes of tropical fruit, blueberry, watermelon, jasmine, has a rich acidity and silky mouthfeel. This coffee is pleasing and exotic. Another coffee to take a look at real quick will be the cast iron. The cast iron is another medium roast. As always, available whole bean or ground. It is this coffee in particular is veteran owned from farm to cup. Originally roasted by hand in a cast iron skillet. That is where it gets its name. It's extremely versatile with a smooth, rich, clean flavor. Let's see, where are the notes? I can't find the notes on this one. That's okay. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite coffees. And by the way, it's I think it's one of the Mad Canadians' favorite coffees as well. Just gonna throw that one out there too. So you can find your new favorite coffee over at ironbeancoffee.com. That is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster. All right, Kyle, we have a few more games to get to.
One other thing, real quick here, Jared.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of interesting that Gangland brought up here. Iowa and Nebraska for next week's game. Iowa's 9-2, Nebraska's 3-8. Nebraska is favored.
Oh yeah, go Huskers!
Love that. All right, back to the games here. Let's see, where do we leave off? All right, Notre Dame. Now here's an interesting one. I think we'll spend some time here. Notre Dame beats Georgia Tech handily, 55-0. So this is pretty much like what Ohio State did to Michigan State. Notre Dame here, one loss in all of their games.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up all their games real quick here, but all of their games, they've looked pretty good. They've looked pretty good in their games here. Should we really start considering that Notre Dame possibly can backdoor getting into the playoffs here with all of these teams getting knocked out? ACC out, Pac-12 out, the Big 12 possibly, depending on how these next 2 weeks happen, probably out, most likely out too.
Well, we'll talk. We'll get there.
But Notre Dame here, I think right now, even though the B tier is getting scarce, I'm almost tempted to put Notre Dame in the A tier. Maybe we can swap Notre Dame and Oklahoma here. Oklahoma go into the B tier and put Notre Dame in the A tier here.
Well, I think one of the teams in the A tier gets moved up to the S tier. Therefore, that will leave a spot open in the A tier.
Okay. Well, so I think from what we've seen with Notre Dame here, solidly they're beating all the teams, and they beat Wisconsin. Let's not forget earlier in the year. Granted, earlier in the year, they demolished Wisconsin 41-13. Their only loss is to currently a top 5 team in Cincinnati here. I think Notre Dame, you move up to the A tier here. They're peaking at the right time right now.
Kyle, dare I say it? We need, first off, yes, let's move them up to the A tier. I think that's absolutely necessary. Notre Dame needs chaos because they can't be a conference champion, right? Stuart says, I don't like dropping Michigan State to the C tier. Stuart, all of the 2 lost teams, except for Oregon at this point, who we still might drop down to C tier or maybe just redefine something. all of the 2-loss teams are C tier or worse. Gangland goes, I think Ohio State dropped them there. Yeah, that's fair.
Yes.
Don't blame us for that one. The So yeah, we're gonna move Notre Dame up. Kyle, can we take a look at Notre Dame though?
Mhm. What do
Let's
you want to know about Notre Dame?
let's take a look at their schedule.
Yeah.
Who would you
So,
say is their best win?
Wisconsin, easily. Wisconsin.
So they beat Florida State. Florida State's nobody. They had a weak game against Toledo. Granted, this was all the way back at the second week of the.
They beat Purdue.
Yeah,
Yes.
They beat Purdue by 14 points.
Hmm?
They beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin was struggling hard at that time. We should point out they did not have an offense yet at that point. They lost to Cincinnati. They had a close win against Virginia Tech. They had an okay win against a USC team that's not at all impressive. They had a 10-point win over a North Carolina team that seems to be very hot and cold this season, I think is a fair assessment of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But then to your point, they made easy work of Navy, they made easy work of Virginia, they made easy work of Georgia Tech. None of those teams are real world beaters. I think to your point, I think they're lacking a big win. I think they're lacking a big win.
And it is Wisconsin. Granted, yes, early in the year, Wisconsin was terrible early in their year, but on paper, it's going to look like a solid win in their resume. So I think A is the best that they can do unless they can backdoor getting into the playoffs. So I think having Notre Dame there in A, I think is reasonable.
Yeah. I'm Kyle. I'm moving the conversation to talk about we have an empty spot in S tier. That's what I'm focused on right now.
Okay,
I cannot envision placing them in S tier right now due to a lack of a quality win.
All right, let's finish the B. Let's finish the A tier teams then. So Alabama, Alabama. We already talked about barely beating Arkansas 42-35. Oklahoma barely beat Iowa State 28-21. Oklahoma State did what they need to against Texas Tech 23-0. And then Michigan
Texas
took
Tech,
care
by
of
the way,
business
is not
against
a terrible
Maryland
football team.
59-18. So you could argue. I mean, based on the resumes here, it's tough because I think
Say it.
Alabama definitely has the better resume. So I think I think putting into that fourth spot, it's between Alabama and Michigan right now. I think Alabama has a better resume, but I think Michigan has looked better than Alabama when you're comparing the teams.
But Michigan's beat Wisconsin, yes, who we've already deemed as Notre Dame's best win.
Mm-hmm.
They've beaten Michigan. No, excuse me, they lost to Michigan State. But that's
They did.
if we're counting quality losses, like they lost to Michigan State. They beat a Penn State team who you and I both agree is better than their record indicates. Same, I believe they have. Do they have a win over Nebraska as well? Michigan.
Yeah, they do. Yep, 3-point victory.
Yeah, and as of late, this has not been true all season, but as of late, Michigan has been winning the games in fashion that you would expect a playoff team to win the games in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. But kind of like what you were saying with Notre Dame, what's their best victory? What is Michigan's best victory here? I guess again, probably Wisconsin, maybe Penn State.
Yeah, I mean that's totally fair. I mean it probably is Wisconsin. I would say the big difference right now between Michigan and Notre Dame is Michigan's winning games in more impressive fashions, and Michigan has Ohio State on the schedule. Michigan can still win a conference.
They still can, yeah.
Michigan has a lot of potential left in their schedule, whereas Notre Dame feels tapped out. I feel like Notre Dame is who Notre Dame is.
Yeah.
Like, what does Notre Dame have left? They play Stanford. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like, a win over Stanford isn't going to move the meter here.
Yeah. So the question then here is who is going to be up there in that fourth S tier?
So I like Michigan's resume better than I like Notre Dame's. I think Oklahoma. If we had to pick between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, I would pick Oklahoma State. I think that they're winning games more impressively right now. Kyle, we face a scenario, by the way, within the Big 12 that I think we need to talk a little bit about here. And I worked this out during the social screen. So Gangland, help me out here if I missed some details, or whoever was in the social screen last night, help me out here if I missed some details. We figured out what the Big 12 scenario was.
Okay.
Because it's complicated. Because Oklahoma lost to Baylor, but Oklahoma State beat Baylor, and we're looking potentially at a 3-way tie atop the Big 12.
Nope. No, it won't. It won't because it won't because Oklahoma and Oklahoma State each have one conference loss. Baylor has 2 losses. This weekend is Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Winner. Oh, I see, for the second spot. Yes.
The second spot. There you go.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. That is the question there.
So if I'm trying to remember how this played out. If Oklahoma State wins, God, how did this work? We figured it out during the social screen. Bottom line here is that we could have Oklahoma and Oklahoma State play each other in back-to-back weeks. You would need Oklahoma to win the game. Yeah, if Oklahoma wins this week, then Oklahoma and Oklahoma State will play back-to-back.
It said it's a excuse me, it's score differential.
Well, but you would go win versus win first, right? Because
if you go win versus win,
yeah. If Oklahoma wins, they're the lone single loss team in conference. And then Oklahoma State beats Baylor. Therefore, Oklahoma State gets the tiebreaker over Baylor, and Oklahoma State and Oklahoma would play twice in a row. But if Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma, then Oklahoma State's the number 1 team, and the tie between 1 and 2, or between 2 and 3, would then go to Baylor because Baylor beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, so
yeah. And if I accidentally said Oklahoma where I should have said Oklahoma State somewhere in that rant, forgive me.
Yeah. Definitely confusing there. But Jared, we still haven't picked our 4th team here.
Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. Because you have 2 teams who simultaneously kind of control their own destiny to win the conference.
And honestly too, like, I don't think either of them should be in that 4th spot. I still think right now, in my mind, it should be Alabama in that 4th spot. And then the rest will take care of itself in a couple of weeks too. So I think for after week 12.
Stewart just says no one deserves it. And he's right.
Yes, but we got to put a 4th one there. So I think based on resume, no one has it better with the rest of the A tier than Alabama. It's Alabama in that 4th spot. If you don't put them there, Jared, you're doing a dishonor, honestly.
I was just trying to make it a bit interesting by introducing some other
teams
into the conversation.
But it is what it is here. All right.
And by the way, it could have been Michigan. It could have been Michigan.
But Bama has a much, much better resume than Michigan right now. All right, moving on. We got to move on here. So Pittsburgh defeats Virginia 48-38. It was a really close game here. I still don't trust Pitt. I'd keep them at the C tier there. They are a 2-loss, so they stay where they're at. University of Texas San Antonio pulls out a squeaker win, still undefeated here. Jared, do we move out to B tier?
Sure. Why not? You know what? And sorry, Oregon, you're a 2-loss team. You went all the way from S tier to C tier, which feels harsh, but like you're a 2-loss team. That's where 2-loss teams go. Sorry.
Ooh, ouch. All right. Anybody go in B tier?
Well, I mean, that's why I was real willing to
Carolina?
move UTSA up there.
Coastal Carolina?
No.
Yeah. All right. Baylor beats Kansas State 20-10 in probably one of the boringest games you'll watch.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
20-10 in a game.
We're all out of B tier teams.
We are. Like I'm looking through here, so I know you got your mouse over Ole Miss. I don't see Ole Miss moving up.
That was a total accident. And by the way, like UTSA, not really. Like not really. They struggled to beat Houston this week. They have one loss, but they have one loss. Like, sorry, it's not happening for you. No, the B tier I don't think we have a B tier anymore, and I think that's okay.
Well,
I think it's just okay we don't have a B tier anymore.
What about one loss San Diego State?
No. I'm just gonna say no. Sorry, you have to be exceptional. If you're not in a Power 5, you have to be exceptional. And like if you really want to, Kyle, I can grab San Diego State here and I can put them in the C tier.
And why don't you grab Houston too? They're a one loss.
Sure.
Team as well.
I mean, we can keep tossing teams. I don't feel like trying to find Houston down in this mess down here. We can keep tossing teams into the C tier, but who cares? I'm not putting anyone else in the B tier.
Okay.
Screw Houston, whatever. I don't care. If I was able to find that big red H quicker down in that mess, I might do it, but I can't, so I'm not. All
right, Jared. All right, so this is our weird Week 12 rankings here. I definitely think teams will move up and down here next week. It is rivalry week, so we're going to have a lot of crazy games here.
By the way,
I anticipate.
Let's take a quick look at this. Right? By the way, I just feel like doing this. I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to swap. You know what?
You did it.
Yeah, but we're doing it now. I changed the rules. I reserve that right. So we have Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Cincinnati 3, Alabama 4, Michigan 5, Oklahoma State at 6, Oklahoma at 7, Notre Dame at 8.
Okay, if you're going to do this, Jared.
Yeah,
I wish I did. You move Notre Dame all the way past the Oklahomas. They go behind Michigan.
What do you think down there in the chat?
I think Notre Dame goes ahead.
Notre Dame first or Oklahoma's first? Whoever gets the answer in first. Oh God!
Exactly.
They're as divided as we are, Kyle. Are you still there, Matt? You get the deciding vote. Are you still there, Matt? You get the deciding vote.
All right. We'll wait for Matt. While we're waiting for Matt here, Jared, let's get some Sloopcast questions here since we are
all right
over on time here as usual. Kabuto, should the CFP committee and also the AP limit their rankings to 15 teams? The answer is no. the AP should wait until like mid-October before they even do anything.
I mean, I agree with that, but then that would reduce their relevance.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to do it. And like
Yeah.
they're really hanging on to what little relevance they have left.
Yeah, I don't think they should limit to 15 teams. It's just, I like the CFP waiting until November, and the AP, they can just.
Are we talking about
whatever.
what they will do or what they should do? Because if we're talking about what they should do, they should dissolve themselves because they don't matter anymore.
Yep. All right, Nomad, is it okay to throw up in your mouth just a little every time you see a T-Ton jersey?
Yes.
A little bit. Yes, a little bit. He also asked, why does T-Ton suck so much?
Arrogance and an unwillingness to change. Thinking you're
Especially-
better than
especially
everyone
that
else and thinking you can't learn lessons from people who you deem lesser than you.
Then you have a coach riding convertible saying who's got it better than us.
I mean, exactly. Like, it's that lack of awareness. Who's got it better than us when you're literally a floundering program?
Yeah. Does Jimmy Harbs survive on hot dogs and milk alone? Yes.
I feel like there's probably something else in there, and I don't know why.
Doesn't he say?
I want to say it's
something about
beef jerky.
chicken.
No,
Didn't
he
say
doesn't
something about
like chicken
yes
because it's
he
a
doesn't,
nervous
yes.
bird. You won't eat chicken because it's a nervous bird. I want to feel like, and I don't know this, but I feel like he eats a lot of beef jerky.
I could see that.
Yeah.
All right, who's your Buckeye Zach?
And I say that mostly because it's a meat that would actually, like, of all of the meats, if you're going to put any meat in your pocket, like we know he likes to do with hot dogs, I don't think you can, Gangland, I don't know if you can make hot dog into beef jerky. I think it's mostly water as is.
Yeah. All right. Who's your Buckeye Zach asks us. I heard multiple references by Herbie and Fowler pertaining towards Sparty having a terrible pass defense. Yet Georgia's offense finally showed up against an FCS 4-5 powerhouse, Charleston Southern. Does this prelude toward continued lazy observation and bias of ESPN, or do these idiots actually believe Charleston Southern is better than number 7 team in the nation?
I don't think they ever said that. I think that's a bit of a reach by you, if I'm being honest with you. By the way, I found Houston and I put them in the thing for you.
All right, good job. All right, and he says, one last question. Why can't ESPN reveal through the wool that Georgia may possibly get railroaded by the Buckeyes if they meet? They won't until it happens, if it happens.
Yeah. It's fine. Like, and by the way, like, Georgia's the one team who I don't love as a matchup for Ohio State. Georgia is the one team that I do not love as a matchup for Ohio State. And I say that because when Ohio State's offense has struggled this year, they've struggled due to big, dominant defensive tackles.
Yep, exactly.
They've handled some really good defensive ends this year. They've been able to scheme around really good linebackers and defensive backs. They've done a really good job isolating, targeting, scheming around all sorts of good defensive players this year. Where they have struggled are these big defensive tackles, and Georgia's got 2 of them. So that's my one concern from a matchup standpoint for Ohio State is Georgia.
Yeah. What's Georgia's biggest win? Ask Gangland. Stewart says Clemson.
No,
actually,
I don't count Clemson as a big win. Clemson's not very good.
Actually, that brings up a good question.
Yeah.
Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, Florida.
Yeah, they don't have a great win.
But they look dominant, though.
Exactly.
They've looked dominant.
In their wins against teams that aren't necessarily great. Like, was Kentucky good? No. But did they look completely dominant?
And that's the difference, too, is that, yeah, they haven't had the greatest. I mean, now that the season's unfolding right now, the schedule hasn't looked the greatest, but the most points you let up in one game is 17. That's saying a lot right there.
Agreed, especially when you're in situations in which the other team goes down big early and starts passing the ball. And yeah, again, Georgia, I don't believe has been fully tested this year, but they do what you're supposed to do against a lesser schedule. And yes, I am suggesting that an SEC team has played a lesser schedule. Fucking sue me. An SEC team, yes, has played a lesser schedule this year.
Florida,
they have
Florida
not been tested.
Florida just let go of their coach.
Yes. Dan Mullen fired. But they've done what you're supposed to do against a lesser schedule, which is look dominant.
Yeah. And a compared schedule, like Georgia versus Arkansas, 37-0. And what was this score for Alabama and Arkansas? 42-35. Right there.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Georgia versus Bama.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the first times in, God, I can't even tell you, Kyle, where I am expecting Alabama to lose a football game. When was the last time? This is for all the listeners. This is for Kyle. This is people in the chat, YouTube comments, people in the Discord listening to this after the fact. When was the last time you expected Alabama to lose a game?
It's been a long time. All right, looking at the games here, Jared. Man, we got an SEC matchup this Thursday. We got a lot of games Friday, and then a lot of great games this Saturday too. So it's going to be fun. The Iowa-Nebraska game is Friday afternoon at 1:30. Of course, the Ohio State-Michigan game, noon, which both Big Ten, Big Noon kickoff and game day will be up in Ann Arbor. Got the what other games here? The Alabama-Auburn game. I think Penn State-Michigan State will be a really good game too. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State we mentioned earlier, going to be a great game too. A lot of great games as we head into rivalry weekend.
I am not going to attempt to say that. I can't say the phrase that Kyle just said. I can't do it.
Rivalry week?
I feel like I have marbles in my mouth every time I try.
All right. That's all I got, Jared, today. Be sure to catch our next episode Thursday as we review the game. And then Friday
Never has Know Your Enemy been a more appropriate title than it will be this Thursday.
Yes. And then this Friday will be all the other games. So be sure to tune back for Thursday and Friday's episode.
Yeah. And be sure to join our Discord for Hate Week. We've X'd out all of the M's and all of the channel names in our Discord server. So come check that out. I mean, yeah. Come on, guys. If you've never joined the Discord server, now's the time to do it. We have X's. You guys. So yeah, come join our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. Now would be a good time to support us financially as we look to what our schedule looks like in the December part of the season. Because we're not going to be keeping up the 5 episodes a week, but we'd like to, in some respects, or like to keep doing it frequently. But we really need some financial support to achieve that. So any assistance from anyone who could help us out there via Patreon, patreon.thesloopcast.com. You can get access to all of the digital content you desire from us for $3 a month. That's it. And if you're like, I hate paying monthly, you can pay for the entire year up front. And it's like you get a discount for doing so. So it ends up being like $32 a month, something like that. So come help us out. Come join up and hang out in the Discord with all of these hooligans, all of these hyenas. With basketball season. We got basketball season. It's time to come hang out with us. So come hang out with us, discord.thesloopcast.com. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Man, I was looking as we're recording here this Sunday night here. Not really much. It's just a lot of anticipation for
signed calendar.
The game that's coming up here It's
Got you, Stuart.
gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I don't really have anything here. Just getting getting pumped, getting ready for the game that's here in a few days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, whoo! I'm looking forward to it. I'm real excited.
Mm-hmm.
We had Kyle.
And
When
I'm
was
not
the
even
last
going to
time Ohio
entertain.
State and Michigan had this much of a? Because like didn't play last year, and it's just like it feels like forever since we've got to do this, and I'm so looking forward to it.
And when's the last time these two teams have been this highly ranked? Probably since 06.
Revenge tour,
Yeah, you're probably right.
2016. What was the ranking for that? I mean, obviously, 1 versus 2 can never be topped, but and we don't necessarily know what the CFP rankings are yet for this game, but we can probably take a pretty decent guess that it'll be what 3 versus 5 ish.
So 2016, yeah. Well, no, 2016 season, Ohio State was 6th, Michigan was 10th.
Uh,
Oh, was that the? I don't
yeah,
think that
you're
was. Oh
using
no,
the end
you're
of
no
the
no
year
no no. You're right. Yeah,
rankings.
no, you're right.
Gangland is saying
You
that
are
at the
right.
time of
Yes,
the game it was 3 versus 2.
you are right. Yep, it's okay. I was going to say 2006, but no, you're right. That 2016, 2 versus 3. No,
Will
that's
be slightly higher ranked than this game. It's pretty slight because I would what or is
I
college
anticipate.
football rankings.
Yeah, I anticipate Ohio State to be move up to number 2.
You're expecting the Bama jump.
I expect it. If not, that's
Listen, it should happen, but will it happen? I think Ohio State's earned it with a
yeah,
huge with
they
an
really should.
enormous win
They
over
really
the
should.
7th best team in the
Yeah,
country.
they really should. Yep, they should be 2, and then Michigan should be 5th there.
I
Has
agree with you
how
that it
we have it.
should happen. I'm just very skeptical that it will. I'm expecting 3 versus 5.
You know, who cares if they don't do how we rank them, they're wrong.
Yeah. Screw you, playoff committee.
All right, that's it, Jared. Let's go ahead and end today's
Cincy
episode.
at 3, let's go. Do it, you cowards, you won't. All right, that's it. I got Kyle with that one. I don't know why I got Kyle with that one. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the episode. That was a great Kyle's Corner. Come join us in the Discord server. All of that, I already said it. Tonight's ending music will be brought to you by Kyle. It's hate week. It's hate week, so we got to pull out the big guns. This is by a former Ohio State football player, Evan Blankenship. Yeah, that's right. He leads the Columbus-based country band North to Nashville. So yeah, we got to pull out the big guns. We're pulling out an actual Buckeye football player. Once again, he is Evan Blankenship. The name of the band is North to Nashville. So with all of that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to the local music, and of course support your local podcasters. Once again, this is North to Nashville, featuring Evan Blankenship.